here talking, existing. It's the bravest thing that I've ever encountered, and it's probably more important than anything that I've ever done in my life.
Couples are everywhere. Like, I'm happy for you guys. But like, keep touching each other.
All the girls on the subway look very gorgeous. They have their styles.
Yes.
But the boyfriend, like right beside her.
Before I came here, I was making myself so anxious. I kept watching YouTube videos. What can be the worst scenario as being black in Korea?
I think the most that it can do help is the media exposure.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of against the pride movement and the parades. I don't know if I can say that, but I think it's too early for Korea to accept it.
How does Korean TikTok compare to real life TikTok?
Well, in TikTok here, there's no ads. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Yeah.
I noticed that too. There's no ads on TikTok here.
There's ads in other places.
Yeah.
I don't know how this works.
Everything has ads. So you'll be scrolling through TikTok. Every 3 TikToks, there'll be an ad.
Yeah.
For like
McDonald's.
Yeah, or whatever.
Wow.
But specifically about the content, I don't know if it's just me. I'm very like an optimistic and bright person, but I thought it was kind of the same. Like I saw the kind of like the glitz and glamour, even of a strawberry chocolate place in the corner, and it was hella raining, so I just wanted to like cover up, and it was there, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna eat this, and it was very aesthetic. I have a lot of aesthetic videos of South Korea.
I don't.
No.
Like, I get what you mean though, because are you looking up stuff to do in Korea on TikTok?
I didn't at first.
Yeah.
It was just my friends who would just like take me whatever, and I just don't ask questions.
But on TikTok, you're not Googling, oh, what can I do in Itaewon? Are you doing this kind of stuff?
No.
Because like...
Are you doing that?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Because like in the beginning, I came here because I'm a lot on TikTok. And then they were just like, the Tanghulu dance video.
Oh.
And they're like, saying like, hulu, hulu.
Yeah.
This one, or just like, thirst traps of like high schoolers. But like girls would just be like, and then like with the whitening filter, that was like for like a whole week. And then suddenly I started to like, my friend kept sending me like stuff to do in Korea. And then I kept also like Googling stuff because there are some very famous German TikTokers here. I watched them a lot to get like all the spots. And the more I was on her For You page, the algorithm showed me more like, what can you do in Korea? What can you do in Korea? And then like a lot of Songsu. But eventually it came. And then nowadays I have a lot of like beauty treatments. Like they're advertising like, oh, I just came to Korea to get my face done, to get fillers, to get Botox. So this is right now on my For You page more.
I would get those too.
But this is not the case in like Western, at least for me, because usually we have like just dancing TikToks, like people doing like American dances, or like story times about racist behavior in any kind of country. So I have the feeling here it's less serious than in Europe. It's more like a medium actually for like entertainment. Than in Europe, it's more like a medium to actually speak up and like showing you. I even watch news on TikTok. It's that bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, of course, everyone's TikTok is. All of our algorithms are different. Because I feel like in Mexico, like TikTok is so funny. Like I just die laughing every time I go on TikTok. And my algorithm is different than my best friends. And we'll send each other like different stuff, and I'll be like, why are you on that side of TikTok? I'll be like, why are you on that side of TikTok?
Yeah.
Mass media doesn't exist anymore. We just all have our own. Korean people in general, I don't want to generalize 50 million, but generally don't use TikTok as much. That's my experience.
Yeah, we really don't use TikTok very much, but I think that my friends use Instagram Reels more than TikTok because like some of my friends know every places of every Seoul. So my friend would go like, oh, like this place in Seongsu is amazing, so let's go together. Or like, oh, this place in Sinchon is amazing, let's go together. And her For You page is full of like tourist spots, the aesthetic videos of like that spaces. But it's hyped up a little bit, but you know. And like other friend would send me like cat reels or like dogs, bunnies, those kind of things, or like goofy TikTok stuffs that comes to For You page. Like we have every side of TikTok in Instagram Reels, we think so. Yeah.
But it's not the TikTok app. You're not using the TikTok app.
We
It's
don't, we
Insta.
don't.
Is it like Panchung? Is it anti-China? Because it's interesting. I'm not saying it is, but foreign Western people from around the world, I mean, use TikTok a lot. But in Korea, it's not used as much. Is there a reason for that? Just not cool?
For me personally, like we use Instagram DM and posts, and when we open the same app, we can see Reels. So that's comfortable.
Yeah.
It's all in the same app.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Normally, YouTube Shorts and Insta Reels and TikTok, it's all the same content, just recycled across. But they're not using. Hongmin, do you have any thoughts on that? That Koreans don't use TikTok as much as other people?
For me, it's because of the cringe, to be honest.
Go on, son. Yeah.
I just don't get it at all.
Right.
I'm sorry.
No, you're saying that
I feel very insulted.
because I kept putting TikTok real life, like sounds in real life. I keep mentioning like memes I saw on TikTok in real life, and he's so embarrassed.
Really ponder intrusive thoughts. I do watch YouTube shorts sometimes, and it's like usually for me, it's like a story time or something, like they telling like what happened, or like comedy skits and stuff like coming through. TikTok, but I've seen TikTok. It's like more independent making, like right, like individual people like making or copying popular trends and stuff. I don't think it's really my thing.
Yeah, people around me using TikTok was like usually filming, like thirst traps for themselves, but not really like fun or like helpful stuff.
It's so weird.
Yeah, like even the middle schoolers and high schoolers, like with their super short skirts and like as you said, the super whitening filter on. Yeah, I don't think
Like,
that
what kind of
that's my
people
thing.
are you trying to draw in?
Yeah.
You get money for it.
Yeah.
You get money for it?
Well,
You
I
get- yeah.
I upload this content as well to TikTok sometimes, right? And one day I was on there and I just went live and I was just there playing my guitar, talking about stuff. And when I finished, I got an email from TikTok saying you've earned this amount of money from going live. And I didn't get a lot of likes or tap the screens. I didn't say anything. I just there played guitar. One of my Hanyang students came on and said, "Hi, Professor." I was like, wow. It was weird, right? But I was just seeing what was happening because I have to talk about it, so I have to know what it is, and you get money from it. So when
Wow.
what's thirst trap in Korean, Yunseo?
Like dancing to all the same
No, but I mean,
songs.
is there a Korean word? Is there a like 단어는 아니면
No, thirst trap doesn't really translate in Korean. Does it?
toaster trap?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that's weird, isn't it? There's not a Korean word for thirst trap. Yeah.
So it's too direct, I think,
Yeah.
for our culture.
Fishing, hunting.
But you guys have it though.
Yeah, we have it.
I do have to say like the Korean thirst traps are still like more slightly innocent than like actually those in the West. But what I also thought was interesting was like at TikTok itself. You know, TikTok is adjusted to every place. Like it switches with your location. So nowadays, also in the West, the beauty filter's on. So when you open the camera is so good. But here, when I came here, every time I open my TikTok, I'm 3 shades lighter. Like they put the lightening shade as like these standards.
Yeah.
So this is a bit where I'm like, ooh. But people enjoy it. Like one of my Korean friends, she doesn't have TikTok. I gave her the camera and she started taking selfies. She's like, oh my god, I look so good. And she kept posting
The
and
TikTok camera is something, isn't it? Yeah.
It is very, very good. But it doesn't really work for people with like darker skin.
if you have the good baddie filters, I always have the baddie filter saved as my favorite.
Yeah.
So like with the fake lashes, the fake lashes, and like with the bronzing, so I look like snatch.
Have you been to any beauty salons or myeongshils or hair places or nails or?
I actually want to,
No.
but the problem is it's kind of hard for me to find something because I'm very. This sounds so bad, but I'm scared that they're gonna do something I don't like. I only went with him to the dermatologist because I actually had like very bad skin problems here because of the weather, and then we couldn't go to the hospital. They said no. Also, the international hospital said no. So we actually eventually went to a skin clinic.
Yeah.
And the way the doctor was so shy, and also the people who were working there, we were like, I came in and like they were so irritated by me that I was like, oh, should I go to like a beauty treatment because I had to show him my spots, and he was so shy. I think he was so overwhelmed by the fact that I showed him like my skin irritation while he was like a beauty doctor, and then also I think like my pigmentation thought a little bit because he was very anxious about how he like looked at me, and he didn't really know what to do because usually in the West they take time, they actually touch it. He didn't even touch it, but like show me, like, oh, it's okay, and then direct translation to him. And it was like, yeah,
He
but
was trying though.
he was trying. Like, shout out to the doctor. Like, I love this doctor. He was very nice, but he was like very anxious. What I usually don't expect from a doctor. I think like a doctor should be like a bit confident, especially when the patients come in, to make me confident about my skin irritation. But yeah, but I'm thinking of actually doing like laser treatment here in Korea. But
What's laser? Stupid question.
because like I'm half Turkish, right? I have crazy hair growth, and the thing is, it's so humid and hot in here. Usually, like in the West, I just wear like pants, but because I wear skirts and my hair grows very thick, I need to shave every 2 days to because for you guys you don't really have like hair growth, but I have. You will see it's very thick and visible. I don't want to go in the subway and people see like my hair, so I shave it, right? So sorry, this is
No,
so.
I do the same thing every day.
I shave it, but it grows back so fast. So I don't have time to do that every time. But I also don't want to irritate people with like my hair, my body hair. So then I want to do laser treatment. But what I found was interesting is here in Korea, they don't do that for for darker people. Like there's actually like a skin chart. I saw it in a clinic in Gangnam, and they say like from 1 to 6. Starting from 6, they don't do it anymore because like it burns. I heard it in the West too, but I think here they're more picky about this color to do it because they don't want you to get like pigmentation marks.
Oh.
But I was a bit shocked because I was like, in the West everybody does it, so I can't just go. But then I was like, oh, I might be too dark to get the treatment. Was a bit like, and I'm pretty light, so this was a bit like, I was like,
They don't know what they're working with, so
Yeah.
yeah, they can't be confident with it.
Exactly.
Korean's very sensitive to the sun. Like being from the UK, if it's summertime, if it's 19 degrees
Yeah.
and there's a bit of sun, we take our shirts off and we're like, right, let's brown, let's get
Yeah.
this. We just go red. But over here, people, I've suddenly forgot the word. Not usan, but what's
Yangsan.
Yangsan. They use sun umbrellas. They use like.
I noticed that.
My wife puts stuff on our kids when they're going out. It's hot outside, and she'll put like sun cream on them and things like that. It's very sensitive. Thomas, what's been your take on like the beauty aspects here? Have you noticed? Have you developed a skincare routine since you've been here, or did you already have one? Or?
Well, see, I have a Chinese boyfriend, so he gave me a skincare routine a long time ago.
Okay.
He also gave me a very detailed list of what he wanted me to get him at Olive Young while I was here. I feel like half of my suitcase is just stuff for him.
What kind of stuff? I'm just curious.
I have no idea.
You just buy it.
Just a lot of. I go up to like the person at Olive Young and I'm like, this. No, they don't have it. Okay, they have this. But here, even before coming here, I already knew that like beauty and beauty treatments was like a big thing. So I got my scalp. I got a scalp treatment, and I got a facial. A very nice, expensive facial. They didn't tell me the price until after I did it, even though I kept asking them. I was like, oh, so what's the price for this? Oh, we'll tell you later. And they scammed me, but it was very, very nice. They gave me a massage too, and every time I walked in, they were very excited to see me. They were,
money.
They were just like, but partially that I assume. But they always ask me like, "Oh, where are you from?" And I was like, "Oh, from Mexico." They'll be like, "Oh, Mexico! Wow!" It's like, even like being here, I've been told twice that I'm the first Mexican they've ever met, and I find it very endearing. Because it's like, oh, that's so nice. If I lived in Mexico and you were there, you would probably be the first Korean I've ever met.
But you do have good skin. Your skin is looking good.
Yeah, even I got I went with my friend who's Taiwanese, and she got mad at me because the girl was like, oh no, he has way better skin than you. But that was always my perception of Korea, that the beauty and like skin and hair was like very precious. So I came here with the idea that I wanted to get stuff done, and I knew that I would spend a lot of money at Olive Young, and I did both.
They do, like face packs, face masks. They do feet ones.
Yeah, I saw that.
You've seen those?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, you put them on your feet, and it feels like you're wearing like a water slipper or something. You take, it's weird. Oh, it's weird, man.
Wow. I mean, with the amount of Crocs they're wearing, their feet probably like it gets very like hard to skin.
Yeah.
So I can imagine why they use it.
Yunseo, Hongmin, the idea of beauty standards and sort of, I don't know, foreigners adapting to Korean beauty standards or how these differ?
I think that plastic surgery in Korea is a thing because every place you go, there's always like plastic surgery doctor everywhere. So I got my double eyelids done when I was in like middle school last year. And the place was called the skin care place. And the doctor was secretly doing the double eyelid surgery, but he was known for doing it very naturally. Because like some of the people would get it done like very thickly, and it really seems like obvious. But the doctor was known to like, okay, so know your worth, and your eyelids should be like this thick, because if you do more than that, you'll look like, like monster or something. But the place was changed into the plastic surgery place after I did that, but that place was known to be 피부과, like the skin.
Dermatologist.
Yeah. The original name was by that, but they did more like the whitening injections or like wrinkle care, something like that. Yeah.
What is a whitening injection?
I don't know, but when you like inject some chemicals in your skin looks like more lighter when you do it like several times.
How do you, this is going to be a horrible question, you don't have to answer it. How do you perceive the color of your skin? Because, I mean, like, you're whiter than me, I think. But you know what I mean? I'm not being weird, but how do you perceive your skin color?
My Korean friends would call me, like, you have pretty pale skin. So I think so too, maybe.
What about just your Korean friends?
As a Korean, I would say like normal to pretty pale, in between. Yeah.
Oh, can I ask something that might be a little ignorant? Because I've heard it a lot, especially during our class, that people get the double eyelid surgery. What is that?
Like most Korean people don't really like the monolids. We really like the wrinkled eye, especially for women, because it makes your eye look bigger and rounder. So we would make another wrinkle on our eyes, like this part, to be like more cute, So it's pretty popular.
Does it hurt?
Not really, because you have injections to sleep for like 5 minutes, and all the works are done, and doctor just wakes you up like, okay, you're almost done, and then he soothes my eye, then all finished.
Can you blink, or do they put something on top of your head?
I can blink. Yeah.
Does it hurt?
Not really, not really.
And you can go back to school the next day or something like that. It's very. Or is it
No,
helpful?
but we have bruise when we have done the surgery, but the bruise just goes away after like 2 weeks or something. But you have like bloat on your eye, so you have to wait for like 1 or 2 months to look natural.
Interesting. It was funny because I was at the mall the other day and I saw a girl that she had a bruised eye, and I was like, "What happened to her? Like, is she okay?" And now it was probably not.
You were thinking domestic violence.
Yeah.
I was like, should I say something? Should I go up to her and be like, "Do you need help?"
Yeah, I would seem the same because I was wearing a hat and all like depressed look like this because I had a bruise on my eye and I was holding my mom's hand like this, so I would seem suspicious.
Yeah, no, I just looked at his like boyfriend or something. I was like,
Red flag.
But it's quite cheap as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it's cheap.
It's cheap and it's easy. It's regular. And I would imagine a lot of your friends around you have had similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The lightening thing is really like I saw it actually like not the lightening, but I see like when you go like through Hongdae, there are like a lot of like stores, right? And they'd be like, "Oh, come in, you get it free." And then I see like a lot of like whitening products as well. They're not that obvious though. It's not that they're gonna be like, "Oh, whitening cream," because like even if you go to African stores, because whitening is also a thing among Africans actually. Like Africans also whitening themselves. Not a lot. It used to be more in my dad's generation, but nowadays we are more proud of our skin color. But back then they used to whiten themselves to not like get rid of like the melanin completely, but just to look like light skin black or brown skin black. But I do have to say like if you look closely, it sees like brightening, but eventually it does make you lighter. I also have one serum I actually use, which is making me lighter, because it's like a brightening, like the vitamin C serum. It's so good for my skin because I have like hyperpigmentation. But I did so after using a facial mask that this part was darker than this part because I didn't cover it completely. So I started panicking.
Yeah.
Like, what the? Why? And then also like with the makeup thing, there was like a woman also in Hongdae. I was looking for my friend. She's Chinese, but she's also very pale. So she walked in and I said very loud, "I'm not gonna find anything for me anyways. Like, why do I have to come with you?" And then this woman can be like, "Oh, you know what?" And I come and like walking. And she's like, "This is your color." I already look at her. I'm like, "You sure?" She's like, "Yeah, this is for you." And it did say brown, and I put it, and it was like this color of my concealer, which is like 3 shades lighter. So I put it on my skin. I'm like, "It's too light." She's like, "Oh, a little bit light is okay. It's fine." And I look at her, I'm like, and eventually it turned out it's the color for my pale friend. It fits her perfect.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, so this was also like where I was like, But also in general, being light is like a compliment. I don't know if you realized. I have a Korean friend actually in class, and I said to her like, because I got tanned when I came here because of the sun. I'm the person like,
Same.
more because I want my melanin back.
Yeah.
And then I told her because of the serum, "Oh, I'm getting lighter." And then she was like, "That's good." And I looked at her like, even my Chinese people like, "Oh, sorry, in Korean culture it's a compliment to be lighter." I'm like, "Oh, this was where it really like actually I realized I'm like, oh."
Yeah. You see some older people of an older generation, and they are much darker. And then you
Yeah,
look
I've
at
noticed
photos and what it was like 50, 60, 70 years ago. People were darker here. And before, I think, capitalism and Olive Young's everywhere and this desire to look like this. Here's a weird question for you, Aaliyah. Do you feel pretty here? How is it affecting your sense of self here in this country? Do you...
Actually, I feel the most confident here than I've ever been. Like, I'm pretty...
That's good.
I'm not confident, actually. I'm that person who's going to be like, I'm the loudest, but I'm not confident. I'll just be like, I'm screaming.
That's
like,
true.
Yeah. But I'm not really confident. So I would say it also a bit has to do with my age, because in Germany, I was not confident at all. Then I moved to the Netherlands, where a lot of black people are, and I got pretty much confident, but because there are like a lot of other black people, I felt having like the need to fit in the black standard, like get your hair done, the edges done. If the edge is lifting, I start panicking. But when I came here, I do have to say I take more care of myself. Like, I don't leave the house without doing my skincare, doing my hair properly. My style has changed so much since I'm here. Usually I go with sweatpants to school. Like, just like a hoodie, sweatpants. Exactly. He said I can do that. I said, no, I cannot. So I start to take more care of myself. But it is more about the fact that I'm like, I don't want people to think I'm lazy, like not doing. But I actually feel more prettier because I look kind of unique. I see it in a good way. I look more unique.
I feel that.
And also, I have to feel I don't have the pressure from like the black community. It's not that they're gonna be like, "Oh, your edges are lifting," but sometimes they're like, "Oh, her edges are not well done." But here, like, they're not gonna recognize. They think it's the hairstyle. They think it's cool. So this is how I'm like, okay, yeah, I feel more pretty and more confident to do stuff.
I feel that too, because at first I was like, oh, there's so many like cute guys everywhere, and I tend to compare myself a lot to other men. But there's no one here that looks like me.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, oh, I guess.
You cannot compare yourself. Like, that's something I saw on TikTok a lot. Like, always the question be like, do you think I will be pretty in Korea? Do you think I will be pretty in Korea? Like, this is the most random asked question always on the comment. It's also top comment. Yeah. And then, like, I see people also making TikToks be like, oh, if you're skinny, if you're tall, if you have an, like, high nose bridge, you're pretty. But then I came here and I'm like, the beauty standards are not physically possible for me to achieve anyways. So why do I even try? So that's why I'm not even trying to get like lighter or straight in my hair. It's not physically possible. Or for example, like my body type. I have the feeling that's what I talk with my Chinese friend about it. Like genetically, I cannot have like the very slim Korean body type. It's not possible for me. So why do I even try? And I think also this is something I met through a lot of like Korean interactions, especially with men. They will point this out. They'll be like, oh, you have like wider hips and stuff like this. But they just accept it. They also think like, oh, she's a foreigner. She cannot fit into that. So they're not even going to compare me to the standard. So this is where I was like, okay, I feel pretty because I'm unique in here.
How do you feel with the... it's interesting, by the way, this idea that you start dressing a bit differently and changing.
Yeah.
This is like the Koreanization that I talk about.
Yeah.
Maybe last week it's really hot here, by the way. I wore a pair of shorts to work, like denim shorts. I don't know if you remember with the Tims. Yeah. I wore that. Some Korean people I know saw a photo of that and they went, no, you cannot wear. Can a professor wear shorts?
Not really.
Not really. Like, some people were coming up to me and going like, I like your fit today, professor. Yeah. And so the Korean people were like, you cannot wear shorts as a professor. It affects you, and no one's telling you to do these things, but it's like you're telling yourself this internal conversation about how you have to present.
So is it even like with men, like the standards? Because I was even wondering, like when you were talking about the eye surgery, like do men do that surgery?
I think so.
Yeah.
Sometimes yes, but sometimes no.
Or is it different between like the straight and gay community?
Straight boy among like my place doesn't really care about their looks. That's a little bit ew. But when you take like subway second line, the 2 line, and there are like all the like places that you can go, like Seongsu or Sinchon, Hongdae kind of stuff, and all the girls on the subway look very gorgeous. They have their styles, but the boyfriend like right beside her. I don't want to even mention about them.
Being such a hater.
What was the term that means like construction major? Kongdaeseng. Kongdaeseng. Like you're from a mechanical major, so you don't dress nicely or something. I learned a word like that.
To be honest, my boyfriend is Kongdaeseng.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does computer science, so he really don't know how to dress. So I had to tell him like what to wear or like how to style. Yeah.
But you really think that the Korean men don't, not in general, but like what you said, like they don't was. Have you ever been to Germany?
No.
Have you ever been like to Scotland, guys?
I feel like the men here.
Yeah, like when
like
not like oh my god, but just like they dress decent. Like although it's just like a basic shirt with some like jorts, I think it's more nicer because like especially in the Netherlands and Germany, it's kind of similar this time. Men, okay, I don't want to generalize, but young men usually they wear like sweatpants and like a hoodie. It's like 28 degrees, but you will have them in sweatpants and like the Nike tech suit, the cab, and doing all that gangster stuff. So they're trying to look like, it's not really gangster, it looks more like, this one's so bad to say, but like a gambler, like, you know, like the gambler guy who's like in the casino drunk at like 3 a.m. This style, but they think that's fashion. So when I came here, I was like, I don't see any sweatpants. I don't see any Gucci belts, any Gucci bags, no fake stuff. I'm like,
there's no chavs. There's none of those people like hanging outside the shop with 15-year-olds drinking.
When you go to like hot places like Seongsu or Sinchon, there are like decent people, like as you said, but around my hometown there are like middle schooler chavs who loves thirst trap. Like here comes the thirst trap again.
No, it's funny because like here being in the subway, me and my friends will always be like, that guy dresses so nice. I wish people dress like this in Mexico or the U.S. Because in Mexico, it's a very homophobic, very machista. That's the word, like macho. Where if a guy is seen as trying, that means that they're gay, and that means that they're feminine. So it like the society kind of incentivizes men to not try and to not have like if a guy had a beauty treatment or a facial routine or any of that, that would be seen as wrong.
Are you a bit more liberated here in that sense, or not? Or you were able to be yourself in Mexico as well?
I feel like I was able to be myself in Mexico because I was fortunate enough that the people around me were very accepting, and the state where I'm from, like my coastal city, I feel like coastal cities are usually a lot more liberal in that way. And then I moved to California. So I feel like I've always been able to be myself. But coming here, I was a little worried of like, oh, should I try to act a little bit more straight? I don't know how to do that. But even in like, I have a class where the professor kept saying like, oh, did you find a girlfriend yet? Did you find a girlfriend yet? And it wasn't until the last class that I was like, no. And I pointed to my rainbow tattoo. And I was like, no, I have a boyfriend. And he was like, oh, okay. He wasn't like, insulted, or he wasn't mad. He was just like, oh, that was really very interesting. Kind of like saying, oh, I'm sorry that I kept teasing you. Like, do you have a girlfriend? I was like, no.
It's probably more important that he couldn't tell, or it wouldn't be obvious to
and that's
him.
what it was, because I feel like people, especially when they hear me talk, I feel my perception is that they automatically know that I'm gay.
Yeah.
So the fact that here, even like
You said
Like,
yes very quickly.
no, like
I would say yes as well.
like also I would agree with that. Like I have the feeling like we, at least like in Western world, we are kind of like, we have to stereotype how gay men talk, or like how the vibes they're giving off. So like there's also like the I don't know if you know this term, like gay sensor.
yes,
Gaydar.
the
Yeah,
gaydar,
exactly
gaydar.
like this, that we can like sense when somebody is like.
And
That's why I was like, yeah.
no, it's funny because the group of guys that's in our film class, they came up to me and they were like, yesterday, you're gay. they're from Singapore, and they're like, you're gay, and I was like, could you not tell? And it even happens here where I'll be like, well, I'll see Korean guys, and I'll be like, oh, he's probably gay. Oh, he's probably gay, and then they'll have a girlfriend. And then they'll go up and like a girl will like hold their hand, and I'm like, oh. Like, this is just
How
different.
does gaydar work in Korea? Like, tell me about like because we can sense in the West, it's not 100%, and we're sometimes wrong, and we get it, but we have a sense of things, and Korean people don't sense it as much. Like you said,
Yeah,
with your
I've
professor, I think that's really true. And other Asians, how does it work in Korea? Like, can you? How
Can I tell if someone's
Yeah.
gay? Well, I'm probably wrong because when I see it, I mean, it's my stereotype, but when I see like a guy trying to dress nice, or
It's just the whole career.
Literally, I'm like, everybody's so gay here. Or if I see guys wearing makeup, but then I realized that a lot of straight guys also wear makeup, or like there's a lot of sunscreens here that have makeup on them.
I tease my nephew so much. Like he's got his girlfriend and he's dating her, and he loves Karina and breast, but he's doing his makeup, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right to me. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's hard for me to adjust to in that sense.
I agree.
Yeah.
So I guess I put my Western standards onto what I see, but then I'm like, okay, 80% of this population cannot be gay. Then I have to be wrong, or what's going on? I wish that would be my
country in the world.
that would be my dream. Actually, it's like, oh, I'd love to see the Pride Parade here. That must be massive.
I think the thing is that we don't second guess here, like their sexuality, because they just 100% assume they're straight. It's not really a thing here, being a gay, and we're more invisible in that sense. And I wouldn't say like we have stereotypes also, like acting girly and feminine, and like being sassy and hey girl. But it's all an act for Korean generation. I feel like only in the TVs and movies and social media, they're portraying it like that, but they don't actually think that kind of person they will meet in real life. I don't think I've ever used my gaydar, and I don't think it ever worked.
Do Korean people have gaydar, or is it not a part of their
Like in
brain?
Itaewon and Seoul, I heard about people who can tell from just looking and watching their behavior. Not an ability I have, and I don't think that works that way, because here it's different, and people can be different, and straight men are not that afraid to act gay in a sense, I guess. Not as Western men.
I feel like there's some benefit to that, because sometimes I feel bad when my gaydar starts going up, because oh, am I just using stereotypes? Am I just classifying these people? Can you just walk the way you walk and not me automatically think that you're gay? So I think that there is some benefits of not having a gaydar.
Mine went crazy when we started at the summer school at Hanyang University, because I think it's easier for me to sense it around Western men, or men who are not Korean or East Asian. So I was in class, and I have 2 classes with you, right? And within the 2 classes, I already sensed it. I was just looking at the way they talk, or when I eventually during the discussion they talk to me, I'm like, okay, yeah. Of course, I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, are you?
Are you?
No, when once
Sassy.
no, when somebody came and then he confessed to me, and I was just like, I know, there's nothing.
How can you tell?
It's okay. This sounds so bad to say, but in the West we have more as similar to Mexico. It's the West and the macho. So you need to be very hard tough. Even this is not, of course, not for everybody, but they have more like when they're among their guy friends, they tend to like talk very bad about women.
Yeah.
They act like, oh yeah, no, she's not my girlfriend. She's just a random girl. Like acting very cool, very bossy, especially the leader part, very like the bossy, like you boss around people. That's more like, okay. But if I have someone, also like sometimes the way people sit, because like in the West,
Have you seen how I sit?
yeah, but like in the West we have like the man spreading a lot, like men sitting with their legs open like this in public
Ew.
buses. It's like you don't do it? Like they're sitting like open legs, and then sometimes when you sit next to somebody and there's like subway or tram, girls like I have very big legs, so I'm like squeezing myself in,
Make yourself
but then this
soft.
man is like spreading his whole leg and like, just keep touching my knees. So for me it's like, at least personally, when like a guy sits with like crossed legs sometimes, and then like the like this, it's like I would say it's like kind of like I'm like it's like a bit more feminine, because we also got taught like if you cross your leg, it's like more feminine. Because I also sometimes sit with like legs open, and then my teacher or my mom would be like, sit like a woman, like not sit like a woman, be like, oh, can you close your legs and just sit more like straight out.
It's impolite to cross your legs in front of an older person in Korea.
Oh really?
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
if I'm meeting my professors, I would never sit cross-legged. I'd sit like this. It's interesting. Yeah.
In military as well, they banned the act at all.
Really?
You can't cross your legs
You
in
cannot.
military?
You cannot.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Tokparo. You've got to sit straight and you've got to do this properly. Yeah, it's seen as very lazy, low effort or something like that. How does lesbian gaydar work? Are you able, in Korea, amongst Korean people, I mean, we're at a women's university and things like that, and with saying how difficult it is to maybe spot members of the Korean gay community?
For me, I would assume that she would be lesbian if she has like short nails and she doesn't really like to wear like too feminine clothes like the ballerina skirt or something like that. Or she has short hair and the way she talks would be more masculine than another people around them. And what else? I don't know.
Now we're looking and be like,
Show us your nails.
Wait a minute.
I have no names at all, and I always wear jerseys. So today is like an exception with the skirt because of the graduation.
What's it like in terms of gay clubbing, gay dating, things like that, the gay scene? So in my lectures, I sometimes talk about the politics of space, and for various wershiks, it would sound like a bad word to say, but there was a place called Homo Hill, and we'd spend some time in the clubs there because I had gay colleagues and work friends, and we would go there. And my first place that I stayed in Korea was Chongno Samga. There's a lot of gay bars around there. So what's it like in your experience, like with the clubbing, the dating, the apps, or how does that work if you can't see people on the street?
It was interesting because my first time going clubbing, we went to Itaewon, and the first thing I saw when I got out of the subway was trans bar, and my first thought was like, oh, there has to be like a weird translation there because there is no way that I am.
You go in and everyone's translating.
Because I don't know, in my mind I was just like, oh, I'm in Asia. There probably not going to be any gay bars or any gay clubs or any like big gay community. And then like walking around again, my Gaydar. Walking around in Itaewon, I was like, oh, there's so many gay people here. I feel like there's more, in my opinion, more gay people in Itaewon than Hongdae. Those are the only two places where I've gone clubbing here. But I haven't really gone to like a gay club. But I did go to a straight club where there was a lot of gay people.
Yeah.
And there was a woman who came up to me and she was like, oh, can I introduce you to my friend? And she was a girl. And I was like, oh no, I'm gay. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. No, I love gay. And she gave me a huge hug. But it was this old, she was probably, sorry if you're watching this, she was probably like 40.
You say that like 40 is the worst. Go on. You're gay Mexican. It's so good to be gay and Mexican.
And I have a boyfriend, so I don't have I don't go on dating apps. I promise. So I don't know what, but you were telling me a little bit about how it is here, and you were telling me like how the dating apps are very different, like how Tinder functions differently in Korea than even in Mexico or in the States. Like I used to use Tinder all the time, and it was very wholesome in my opinion. And then here, like just like the text that she showed me, I was like, oh my god, they're very brave here. I feel.
Yeah.
I asked Aaliyah the other day, like, what should we talk about on the show? And the first thing you said was
Tinder
and horse.
Yeah, the black horse.
Wait, what is that?
It's like the black horse is like a term invented by foreigners itself. It's like when a Korean man or woman tries to have sex with like a black person. It's riding the black horse.
Okay, ew.
Yeah. So it's like trying it out for the experience with a black person to see if they're any kind of different. And that's actually a real thing. But wait, it's not only on black people. It's only on the white horse. So for Westerners, like white people, and that's really the thing. Like I was warned about this already, like way on TikTok and stuff. But now experiencing myself is a different kind of dynamic. But I do have to say that there is a difference of like, because I use Tinder here. Oh my god, I'm saying it openly. Like, hi.
What's your Tinder profile?
No, but like, I have the feeling, especially because I'm alone here, because all my friends are gonna leave. I will stay till December. Is I need to try to find friends. And when I moved to the Netherlands, I had like dating apps where I actually find like friends, because I also have a lot of male friends actually. So it wasn't really a big thing. But here, the comments sometimes I'm getting, they're very bold. Like they will be like, hi, where do you live? I'm like, oh yeah. And they'll be like, do you want to come over and watch a movie? That's like the most. I'm like, oh no, sorry, I don't like watching things like movies. And they'll be like, sad. I really wanted to try it with a black girl. Or they've been commenting, especially on my hips a lot. They'll be like, oh, like in Korean, I don't want to say in Korean because it's way more intense in Korean than in English. But in Korean, they'll be like, you have very big hips. I want to touch your big hips.
Ew.
Yeah, like they're very explicit about what they want to do. Or like, have you ever been with a Korean man before? And then like, I can give you a good experience. And I'm like, oh no, thank you. But some of them are very sneaky. Some of them are very sneaky. Because
Is this all taking place in Korean or English?
it's in
Both?
both. But I have to think the Korean one is even worse because the thing is they hide it between being innocent. Because like in English it's more like obvious if they want to do something, and I think my Korean is enough to comprehend what they want. You know, like always like if they do the sign to make it like no, like 안녕하세요. So they be like this and they be like, oh 오늘 뭐 해? And I will like 술 먹을래?
Ew.
like always like this, and
I
I'll be
Okay.
like, and then I'm like, oh no, thank you, and I'll be like, oh, and I'm like, I really want to see you, like, oh, 진짜 보고 싶어, like very cute. And then when you actually ask what they want, like, oh, I just like have a nice time, and they're not explicit about what they want to do. Some of them are very, like, if you look at their profile, by the way, none of them have the real name on it. Never. They always be like, 콩, 콩, tung, tung, 고양이,
Ew.
kind of stuff. And then some of them put, like, in the description, FWB, like friends with benefits, or ONS, one night stands. They put it explicitly. But then you have those who be like, oh, 동네 친구 찾아요. You know, and then eventually they ask you, oh, do you want to be FWB or ONS? Apparently there's like also the other phrase called, are you open-minded?
Enjoy is also one.
Yeah, enjoy.
Let's enjoy.
I haven't really met somebody who asked me like, oh, are you open-minded? But a lot of them it's always like, do you want to drink alcohol? Do you want to go somewhere close to my house at night? And if you ask me why at night, I'd be like, oh, I work. Like I had one guy be like, oh, I'm a football coach. I train so late. I'm like, wait, you cannot train that late. Like, come on. But there's a difference if you are close to them or not, because I also had like, as I said, like language apps where I met Korean people. By the way, Korean people also use language apps as like dating apps, actually to pick up some foreigners. It's not like he was lucky, like he was luckily on the creep. But a lot of Korean people also use like language exchange app to actually try to get into like different direction. But if you are far, they say very dumb stuff. Like, oh, 몸매가 카디비처럼 보여요.
Oh.
Like they will compare me with like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj. They would drop these kind of things. Like, oh, you look like Cardi B. Yeah, Beyonce's my sister. Like, you know, like that kind of stuff. And I was thinking this is gonna happen more here, but here they're more like subtle, and they be like, oh no, I want to get to know you. And this one guy be like, I want to be your boyfriend. I said he texted even for me because my Korean was not enough. I'm like, can you please text him? You're going too fast. I don't want to go like that much. And he'd be like, okay, if you don't want to be honest, I can be your boyfriend. I'm like, suddenly.
That's very Korean. That's very Bali.
I would have blocked him like 3 days ago.
I love the fact you're teaching Yunseo about Korean dating apps. She's just sitting there going, oh.
No, but there's a difference. There's a difference, like, how they treat foreigners. This is something I really realized. Because, like, as I said, my Chinese friend, she's very Korean looking. Like, actually, when we walk around, people think she's Korean. They talk to her in Korean as well. And then suddenly be like, oh, I'm Chinese. But I saw the difference in our dating app usage. Like, when I swipe, she just needs to do this, and she matches everybody.
Wow.
When for me, I'm like, I swipe. I also have like a higher matching rate than I expected, but not everybody's matching me back. But for my friend, everybody matches her back. So then, like, when she opens her DMs, she says like a lot like 안녕하세요, like 안녕, like very cute, like oh 만나서 반가워요. And then with me, I'm like FWB, ONS. Hi, you're so hot. You're so pretty. Where do you live? Can I meet you? Very so different. So when I first saw it, I felt a bit like hurt because I'm like, I'm just a human being like my friends. So why do you treat me so different? But eventually I was like, there are dumb guys everywhere around the world. It's not for Korean, but I think for Korean and like it's like stigmatized on the app because it's like this is where they actually go together and do these things. But yeah.
Not worth your integrity, honestly.
But it's sometimes entertaining. It's sometimes entertaining. Like, I have like a whole screenshot collection on my phone and sending to him and my other friend. I'm like, look, I think I should open a TikTok channel about like, what Korean men have said to me.
Feel good entertainment.
I would go so viral.
Yeah, sure.
Exposing Korean male TikTok.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
Hongmin, is there a gay? You don't have to talk about this if you don't want. Like a gay dating app? Does Grindr work here or things
Grindr
like that?
is usually for foreigners who are looking for other foreigners or Koreans, and they want fast fuck before they leave Korea. Can I say fuck here?
Fuck yeah. Yes, you already did. Yeah, you can. It's fine. We have no sponsors. You can swear. Are there Korean dating apps or gay apps, or does that work like that? Or
The most popular one would be an app called Tekdi. It's like a red app, and it's been here for like over all around 20 years, maybe, I think.
Wow.
It's been a very old app, and that's the one people mostly use. And now Tinder is also rising as because Jack D has more like a FWB and like she said, like very superficial relationships. Whereas Tinder, you can match with people if they like you, you know? So it's more of a serious relationship looking guys there. 50%, I guess. I don't think using apps is the way to find love here, though, because it's pretty stigmatized and, you know,
Yeah.
Like all over the world.
if your friend says, like, I use apps to match with guys and then try to find love, then you would judge. wouldn't
Okay,
you?
but be careful, I guess.
Yeah.
But how does it work with like gay people on gay dating apps? Do they show their faces? Do they want to like expose themselves out there? Because I feel that it's a lot more restrictive here and it's a lot more secretive. So how does it work with gay dating apps? Do you just like trust that they're just not gonna screenshot it and post it somewhere that, oh, look who I found?
Depends on your confidence, honestly. Some people, they are very open. They show their whole face and even their name sometimes. But most of the times, they have just anonymous face and they blur the face and just show the body, or
That's what straight people do.
or just not have anything at all in the profile and just say like how tall are they or how big
Oh, okay.
or yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Then I wonder like how do you find love here?
Me too.
If like if you can't just be open about yourself and just go out into the street and be like, oh, you look cute or something like that, but you also can't use dating apps. I just wonder like how.
Honestly, I wonder.
Yeah, the couple culture is so crazy.
Yeah.
Like couples are everywhere. Like I'm happy for you guys. But like,
Did you have
but
that?
like, sometimes I'm like, I ask him like, where do they meet? Because like, it's not that common to go up to somebody like, hey, you look cute. Like,
Friend to friend to friend.
Yeah.
but how do you
Anand
make
Saram.
friends? How do you make like these kind of friends? You know what I mean?
University, school, jobs.
Not for us. Not for us.
It's
Yeah.
more of a secure kind of relationship.
Yeah, and sometimes people around me use the app named Every Time, which is for like university life. That's for like seeing timetables or like seeing the lecture is helpful or not. But there are like some area that gay people can write about themselves and do you want to go to Hongdae with me like someday or kind of stuff, and they just be friends. And after some like hanging out, they decide to like start a relationship or something. So that's one kind of meeting people, as I heard. And some couple around me, they were childhood friends. Then they know each other very well and they become a couple. Or as you said, let's say like I have a friend named A, and she introduces a boy who's from like her school that we get to meet and know each other. Or there's a thing called sogeting, which is like three people meet and like drink together and do some activities together. And if they like each other, then they can like call or DM and meet each
Wait,
other.
3 people and 3 people?
Yep.
So one
It's
for
like
each.
blind date.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What if you like another person that your friend likes?
Oh.
Does that happen? Or is there like a designated, like, this one's for you, this one's for you, this one's for you?
No.
It's like the same guy.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. Like, I feel like that would happen a lot.
A lot.
I heard that when the boys go to like restaurant together, then the girls would discuss like, oh, that means my type. Our girl the same. Oh, you should like,
It's like
yeah.
Game of Thrones around here.
Yeah.
Wow.
There's also games that are played, I think, to randomly
Yeah,
pair people off
yeah.
and things like that.
So Sugating is better than Tinder, but is Sugating not basically the stage after Tinder. Because like on Tinder you meet, right? Like you text for a couple of days and then weeks, depends on who the person. And then you
I'm not a monk, Aaliyah. Don't look at me like that.
and you still like oh hey, you want to meet something, and then eventually you meet with the person and you get to know them. Isn't it kind of the same as Sogeting, just that you guys didn't meet online? But, like I don't know, are they doing it through a company, through friends, or?
I think that's the offline version of Tinder because most of my friends who goes to sogeting doesn't really look for a partner at that day because they think like, oh, I'm gonna drink some alcohol and have fun with like some guy friends or something. Then they are like not really heavily minded about the relationship at that day. But when they're interested in another people that day, they can start conversation maybe.
Friend of a friend is really big, like connection, not just for jobs, but for dating here as well. If you know a friend of a friend. I have people come up to me sometimes, women go, David, do you have any friends?
For me too.
But like they're single, but they're like, maybe they want a Westerner or something like that, but they're asking me, David, do you have friends? Because they sort of know who I am and they respect me a little bit. And so rather than like search out into the city, they're looking for a friend of a friend, something like that. So I get that quite a lot. It's interesting that you said there's so many couples dating here. Because if you look online, Korea's like this solo paradise, nobody's having kids, and you think like everyone's just studying, working themselves to the bone. But it's really interesting to me that a lot of international students go, wow, they're all holding hands. It's like romantic. And
they're very open about it. Like I have the feeling in the West we're also kind of open, but it's more like they keep touching each other. Like it's okay, you do you, but sometimes they're like they keep touching. I'm like, okay, girl, you can't leave him alone. This poor man. Like, or like we went to Waterbomb.
Spoken like a true single. I'm sorry. Go on. Waterbomb.
But we went to Waterbomb, and then there was also a different experience. But there were like a lot of couples, and there was a couple in front of me, and like there was like I think PH1 was not PH1. I think Giddy Boy was on stage, and I was totally focused on him. And then suddenly there was a small girl with her boyfriend, and she keeps annoying me because they kept having their K-drama moment in front of me. I'm like, girl, I'm trying to see Giddy Boy. Like, stop.
I know, right?
She kept being like, I'm like, yo, I want to see Giddy Boy. Like,
And
okay.
you're like so close to them, like you cannot even move, and
Yeah,
they're
like,
just doing it right in
okay,
front
if
of
you
you.
don't want to see, if you have some privacy, please leave so I can take
Yeah,
my video. Your head is in my
exactly.
phone. Like, stop that. So that's a lot what I see. Like, you are sitting in the subway and suddenly like he's holding she's shoulder and they're looking in their eyes. I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, please move on or do it, because afterward it gets too much if you try to focus on something else and you have these people like right in front of you doing
Yeah.
it.
I agree because one time I was on subway and there were like so many people that I couldn't really sit, and there were like couple right in front of me, and the girl was carrying a carrier with his boyfriend, and the girl would look his boyfriend like the K-drama stare, like with the like heart in her eye, and the boyfriend would be like the K-drama stare back, and they were kissing on their lips in front of me. Like, so, okay, I get it, but could you please get off and continue it?
Like, I'm happy for you, but read the
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You hold hands with your boyfriend in public, Yunseo? Is it?
I do, and he likes it, but I really don't like being seen as like too much, you know. Like, so, when he gets to see me to school to like take me home, then I would say like, okay, but I don't want to be seen as a like cringy couple, so please wait back there. So he would be like
poor
miles
guy.
away.
You know what you remind me? You remind me of like a girl who has like very strict parents. you don't trying to get seen by your parents if you're mad.
We learned that word. What was it? Nammise.
남미세.
Nammise. Like you're not allowed to take your boyfriends around the campuses. It upsets the other girls. Thomas, what's your take on the couples here? The skinship, the PDAs.
I mean, I feel like I'm jealous because I miss my boyfriend, and now that I see couples, I'm like, oh, I really want to see him. But I found it interesting because yes, I do see a lot of couples, and that is something that I was also told before coming here, like, oh, they like to display, like this is what I have.
Yeah.
But I'm always also interesting, like I don't see any gay couples, right? And I don't even know if that's a thing here. Like, if you're gay, can you? Have you ever seen like in the subway like a gay couple holding hands?
Like one time in my life.
That's crazy.
One time.
I don't really see mixed couples. I do see some mixed couples, but it's less than I expected because, like, especially on TikTok, I keep TikTok as my source for.
Yeah, everything. That's your Google now.
But like on TikTok, I see like I know it's very common. That's kind of stereotype Korean men going for white women. Like that's very a common thing. So then we see it like. I'm like, oh yeah, when I go to Korea, I see like a lot of like mixed couple, but it's actually less than I expected to be. But also, what's currently really like rising up, what is maybe also just my algorithm, is Blasian couples, like Black and Asian. I haven't seen any of those here so far. I did see a couple with a mixed Black Asian kid, but they were from the United States, so they came here. But I actually didn't see them. I see some friend groups, like at least at nights out in Hongdae. They're like some Korean men and then like some Black people mingling, but I don't see them together, and that's why I was like. But you guys are like already like this. So there's no, you cannot tell me there's nothing going on. But I have to think they're very more like calm. I think he has a situation with me a lot. Because like we're always together. And then I'm a bit princess. I'm like, can you carry this for me? So every time we go, I think the people think he's my boyfriend. Also the way they first look at me and then at him and then again at me. So like,
I never noticed.
you need to look like, you sure? I think you're trying to just don't look at any other person.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
That's quite interesting, yeah, how people might perceive that relationship, how they're oblivious to certain signs or things like this. I have a wonderful one. When me and my wife, we take our niece out, and she looks nothing like us. And so sometimes Korean people, I see them look, they've got a mix, and they look at my niece, and they look back at my wife and me and go, how the hell did you make that? That doesn't work. I can see them doing that. And I'm like, no, that's not, she's a niece, joker. Like,
it's funny because like during spring break, me and my boyfriend went to Mexico, and we spent like the 2 weeks there, and there's not a lot of Asian people in Mexico. So when we went out, like I was
Is
like,
he Chinese?
he's Chinese. Yeah, and I was like, why is everybody looking? He was like, why is everybody looking at us? I was like, oh, because I don't think they've ever seen like an Asian and a Mexican like couple holding hands. And he was like, oh, can we hold hands here? Like, is that allowed? Like, are they gonna like hit us or something? And I was like, no, it's fine, because I feel like Mexican people, they love Asian people. They're like, oh, they'll see them and be like, oh my god, that's K-pop. Yeah. Oh my god.
I've been surprised by the Chinese lesbians and bisexuals that I've been teaching recently, and just how open they are.
Yeah.
And I would not be able to tell by looking at them. We talked about Gaydar earlier. I would not have guessed these. And they've been telling me about they're from Chengdu, which is famous for pandas and the gay community. And everybody there is out, apparently. And they're very open about their sexuality. They're making movies about it, talking about it in class. It's really interesting. Sometimes we might sort of generalize Asia or parts of it, but that's been eye-opening to me, these Chinese people recently.
Yeah, that was really interesting. Like during the course, I feel like I interacted with so many people from so many parts of the world, and I didn't expect to meet so many queer people from all over the world. Like in this 4 weeks, I've met gays and lesbians and trans and bi, and they're all from all over, and well, a lot of them are Asian. And I'm like, so I'm just interested to like talk about like, oh, how is it there? Like, can you do this? Can you do that? That was like really, really enriching for me.
I think it's nice that we've, during the classes and your other experiences, obviously, but we've created a space where people can be that, or they can be themselves, either straight or otherwise. And in their videos and in their work, they're speaking themselves and they're being themselves. I think that's a nice thing.
And it's kind of like hopeful for like the younger generation worldwide. Like me interacting with Asian, Black, Muslim, trans, gay, lesbians from wherever, and never a time that I told someone that I was gay did they look at me weird. No matter if they were from Singapore or from Africa or from anywhere in America, Canada, Australia.
It's because they knew you as a person first, I think.
Yeah.
They didn't see you as I don't know, I'm guessing here, but they knew you as a person, and they saw you as a classmate and somebody maybe they respected as a good student as well, rather than a label, I think, which is nice.
That was a big thing. I also, yesterday when we said goodbye, this is actually where I realized this one too, because eventually we decided to tonight go out with some of our classmates to say goodbye because most of them are leaving. And there was like one guy from Singapore, he was like, I don't want to go to B1 because there's so many foreigners. And I just looked at him and I was like, well, we cannot go to a different club because like me and another friend, she's also Black, we're like, we trying to go to clubs where we know we can get in. But he'd be like, oh, why can you not go in? So I was like, oh, he actually don't see my skin color. He just sees me like, why? I just don't like B1. I just don't get somewhere. And then when I told him like, oh, actually in Korea there's like some clubs who don't let Black people in, he was like, okay, never mind, we're going to B1. This was not a discussion at all. Or like I also didn't have the feeling like during class that somebody would like, oh yeah, the Black girl in the back. Like they would not to refer to me or the other two Black girls in class as like the Black girls. He would be like, they would call our names. And if we brought our skin color up, they would be very respectful. There was no person where because I was kind of expecting when I also came here in Korea in general, because I'm pretty loud. That's just my personality. I'm very loud. That when I try to do something, they'd be like, yeah, that's a Black person in you. I do have to say, like, especially in the clubbing scene, Hongdae, I don't know. It's like I call it the African American fight quarter because also the style and stuff. I do have to say there was like one situation last weekend where the promoter's trying to talk to me and he was like this, and I just look at him. I'm like, okay, I guess, but what is the point? So he tried to act like cool, or like when Cardi B's playing, he'd be like, hey,
You know that.
you know that. But this is in the club. Like we had like the first night we were out, we had like two very drunk Korean guys. They come dance, like yeah, and they were pointing at me, like yeah, get it. I'm like, girl, you were like we dancing together, but she was really focused. I'm like, yeah, you got this. I'm like, yeah. Sorry.
No, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. I like it. It's the same way sometimes people. I was recording something at the university, and I asked for some water, like while we were recording, because it was many hours of speaking. And she came back and she gave me and the other professor a bottle of water each, and then she gave me 2 little packets of English breakfast tea. And it was just because I'm English, and then she was like that. And I was like, "There's no cup. There's no hot water." She was like, "Take it home." It's tea. You're British, right? And I was like, "It's cute." I mean, it's the same as a fist bump kind of thing. I don't mean to play it down, but it's misplaced nunchi, but sometimes it's well-meaning. Yeah.
It's kind of endearing. Like whenever I'm in class and I say I'm Mexican, they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're Mexican? I love Narcos. I love that show." Is it like that in Mexico? And if they said that to me in the U.S., I feel like they would get canceled hard. But here it's like, especially after the class, like knowing how the culture operates, I'm like, I think it's cute.
But I do have to say, I have the feeling with this kind of comment, it's usually not even from the Koreans who are born and raised in Korea. It's like usually from Korean people or like people who have been outside, who have been exposed to them. Because like when I met 2 Korean people, like one woman in Daiso, my first day, and one actually of the Global Alliance, who asked, like the woman asked me, "Oh, is your hair a perm?" And I'm like, "A perm?" She's like, "Yeah, is your hair a perm?" I was like, "Oh no, that's just my height." You remember the first day? And then I told this to my like tutor, and he was like, "Oh, so it's not a perm?" And he never been out of Korea. So they think it's like a perm and stuff. But then when we went to like Hongdae, that's a bit of my fault. They were like a group of Korean dreadheads. So like 4 or 5 Korean guys with dreads. And I was a bit like the, I don't know, like, so I was saying like, and I was like, I stopped. I was drunk. I stopped to look at them. And I was like, is your hair not falling out? And then suddenly he'd be like, can you do hair? And I was drunk, like, yeah, sure. And then that's how we came and be like, oh, give me an Instagram so you make a good hair price. And all of these, especially this one Korean, his English was so good. And I saw like all of them had been outside at least once. They'd be like, oh yeah, I went to America. And I think they more enforce the stereotypes on foreigners than actually the Koreans in Korea. Because for example, like the old lady, but also the guy who never been out of Korea, they just be like, oh, it's a perm. Like they didn't even think further of it than the guy who gave me like the fist bump and thought like this is the way to greet me. You know?
What did you think when I showed you Soteji and things like this? I'm opening up that little K-pop kind of worms, but it's prominent in that.
It was. I was actually surprised because like the only way when I actually saw Asians with dreads was like Kai from EXO and stuff, like the recent generation. So when I saw like Soteji and what we learned about that, they're actually like copying American style in order to make Korean music go. It made a lot of sense for me. Like actually a new world opened up to me, a new kind of understanding. Because before, I was just like, okay, they're wearing dreads, but whatever. Because I have the feeling sometimes, especially like people who are not like living in Africa or the Caribbean or where other black people live, we are very protective about our culture. Like we are the first one to actually show like, oh, that's cultural appropriation. While when I show this to my relatives in Ivory Coast, they just gonna be like, oh, so nice. Like maybe next time they come, I can just do it again. You know, like we are very protective. So when I first saw it before, I'm like, so I had this misperception. I'm so sorry that I was one of the people. I'm so sorry that they won't like us. I know it's ambivalent still. I wanted to come here, but I'm like, oh, they're not gonna like us anyways. So when I said, okay, you guys don't like us, you don't let us in club, but you wear our hairstyle, where I start to get very protective. I'm like, okay, so you really despise us, but you copying us, so what's the deal? But then seeing Soteji and then explaining like how K-pop eventually got, I'm like, it makes sense. It's what they saw. It's what they, since decades. So who I am to blame them? Because they're not going to be like, yeah, I'm going to take the dreads and then like all black people. I have the feeling if like Western people do it, like for example, the Kardashians, it's way more problematic because they should be aware of all these things. But I have the feeling in Korea or like in K-pop, they should, but it's not like as bad as with the Kardashians who are like all dating black people. They face their partners face discrimination and they still do these kind of things. While for example, a person with dreads, like, oh, Soteji did it before, so
it's an ignorance thing.
Yeah, I do have to say it though. I think with like K-pop being more globalized in order to please like the international fans, I think K-pop stars should start to acknowledge it more. But if I talk now about like an average Korean or like the generation with strategy, I don't think they necessarily need to be blamed for it because it's they thought it's an American thing. They thought they are copying American culture, not like even like African American. They just thought this is America, basically. So I think that is kind of okay. But with like the newer generation, I think with all the hate they're getting, they should open up a little bit more, especially considering the fact how much Afrobeats influences right on K-pop. Like
I
Smart.
saw your dance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the Smart by Liz Seraphim.
Yeah.
It's a great song. I like my friends already like it, but there I was a bit like you could have give a little bit credits to Tyler or like to other African because Afrobeats is right now blowing up, right?
Yeah.
So it was very like I think in comparison to like K-pop, Afrobeats took way longer. It started way earlier than K-pop, but it took a long time to blow up because people like, oh, it's Africa. We're like, why would you listen to this sounds so racist to say, but like, why would you listen to like bongos and stuff? That's what they associate of like you like white music, and then suddenly I see like Afrobeats zoning. Everybody, all my friends in Europe, they were like, oh my god, do you know Burna Boy? Do you know Rema Davido? They're like, oh, Afrobeats is so nice. And suddenly I see K-pop idols doing it. I'm like, guys, come on, like at least give some credits. There was like I wrote about it in my exam.
Yeah.
There was this one guy called Pinweko, I think.
Yeah.
He has a song called Bolo. I don't know if you know the
Yeah.
song. This is where I had to think. I like the song personally, but I wished he would have actually had like an African. He doesn't even have to be Burna Boy or Rema, just like a small African artist because he's.
Acknowledgement.
Yeah, because he's having like a whole Afrobeat, which is fine because it doesn't belong to us. You cannot process something like this. But he was kind of copying a certain pidgin accent. So then I was like, why don't you just take like an African person? He doesn't need to be big and do this line instead of you faking the accent. This is where I was a bit like,
This is completely inappropriate, but on my algorithm, I sometimes get this this white chap that does reggae Jamaican. Have you seen him? He's really good. He's really controversial because he does the full accent.
it's
and
like
he
British, like.
Yeah, he's British.
I think I know.
Do you
You're
know what I'm talking
know
about?
what I'm talking
He gets really into it, and all the comments are like, when you have one spiced chicken. He just turns full into that.
Yeah.
And it's weird because he's clearly passionate about it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem... I don't know. I don't know the answers to these things. But.
Think the hate comes from self-hate. This sounds also so controversial to say, but like for example, what I see in the black community, this is a bit like not related to Korea, but we hate on other people. Like for example, if there's like a white woman married to a black man, there's so much hate. There's so much hate. But it is more like that. There's like the stereotype that black men don't treat black women well. So that's why I think maybe he can get like hate because of that. We're like, okay, so if a black person is doing like all that reggae stuff, it's considered like uncivilized and stuff. And suddenly, if a white man does it, it's cool. I think then the audience be like, oh, it's because he's white, then it is cool. And then like the whole hate comes through it. I kind of get it sometimes, but I have the feeling also coming here and seeing all this stuff because I'm in Korea right now. I'm eating Korean food. I'm using Korean skin products. People could cancel me on that too. So
Have you worn a hanbok?
No, not yet. I want to wear it, but I'm a bit scared. Because I'm like, do they have my size and stuff?
Okay, so it's not the cultural
No.
appropriation. it's more- okay,
No. For
yeah.
this was okay. But I was like, eventually, if you think how globalized the world are, we use so many stuff which doesn't belong to our culture. Imagine everybody just to do this stuff and their culture.
Did you see the fan dance today?
Yeah.
It was the second one, the second performance, where they had the drum performance. So at our graduation ceremony today, there was a live drum performance being done by Korean people were playing the instruments, and then on stage there was around 15 people of all different nationalities and ethnicities and colours and things like this. Very, very diverse visually. And they were in full Korean outfits, singing in Korean, performing this. I was actually getting a little like emotional watching it, like a little teary. Like I was like, wow, this is really something. I took video of it, and I'm really looking forward to showing it to someone like my brother-in-law. Because he's going to look at that and he's going to see people in burqas or hijabs and then people with very dark skin and white skin walking around doing this. And he's going to be like, wow, like really? And it's engaging in that culture. And I don't think, I can't speak for a population, but like the Korean people that sat next to me, the other professors, they didn't see that as problematic. They saw that as love. And I saw that as love.
Yeah.
I don't think we have that kind of thing. Like cultural appropriation is not a thing here. We talked about it before, and I tried to explain it to my parents about what we talked about, and they didn't even understand the concept of cultural appropriation. So I had to start from the beginning, like the culture of it all, and they were like, "That is so dumb."
Pronouns, I agree with you that most people, even when I teach at the universities, most Korean people would look at me. This is a 100% true story. I put up, next class we're going to be discussing LGBT in Korea. And one of my students said to me, I thought LGBT was a new version of ChatGPT. She said that to the class. But by the same token, I've never had any Koreans use pronouns with me, not in any of their emails. And I show them emails from like international professors to me and other people. Even like Koreans at Christian universities in the US have got pronouns in their email signatures. I've not seen any of that culture here either.
I've never heard about it before. Yeah.
Oh?
I mean, I know that they like use it on the profiles or something, but I didn't know it could be used in a formal setting.
Yeah, absolutely. Like professors, and sometimes they're almost required to give it at the start of classes and things.
They are.
We just use like that friend or like that person kind of pronouns.
Yeah, we don't even have like gender defining
we don't.
pronouns. Yeah.
Is it in like grammar? Is there no pronouns? Like if he was over there, if he was over there, would you say like him over there, or how would you refer to?
We have like he, him, or she, her in our grammar, but if we use it, it sounds like a Google Translator. Like it is for like English to Korean translation, but if it is not for English, we don't really use that in real life.
I think that could be a factor also, that it's just not in, because like in Spanish everything is gendered, like the table is gendered, the chair is gendered,
German people also
everything. So I feel like that's why it is very important, at least in my culture, that we're trying to neutralize everything. And even talking to a Korean student that was with me in the discussion groups, I asked her that question. I was like, how does gender grammatically work in Korean? And she was like, oh, it doesn't. And I was like, maybe that's why it's not important. Right. And maybe that's why maybe like the countries like that speak Italian or Portuguese or French or Spanish, that have very gendered languages, they're trying to become more Korean, more neutral.
As soon as you see the word kunyo, kunen, it seems very artificial and not natural in that sense. Yeah,
but I think
Korean people, just to say this, I'm very sorry to interrupt you, and therefore a lot of Korean people, some Korean people will mix up him and her when they're speaking. And they'll make that, and they'll say like, she and he.
I do that.
It happens a lot. It's
No, I was thinking like maybe, but I don't know about the situation in Mexico though. But I have the feeling that pronouns was not really a thing in Europe, but it started to become more and more. But I think it has to be because we are so liberalized in LGBT+. So I have the feeling that pronouns could maybe become a problem in Korea later on if the LGBT situation has like changed. Because right now, Because right now in Europe, like the Netherlands was the first country to actually legalize same-sex marriage. Then you have Germany, although it was a bit late. Like in Germany, you can still like hold hands. It's not illegal. You cannot get like punished. You can't go to work like this. So I have the feeling it came just in the last decade, and this is because LGBT came so dominant in the West. So I think it might be later in Korea they will start with pronouns like he, him. I mean, in Germany it got that serious actually that you can, on your identification card, you can now change between he, like male, female, and I don't want to say it.
Same in Mexico too. You can put a little zero instead of the letters.
No, for us it's diverse. It's just called diverse. So you cannot see. Yeah.
That's quite weird. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh. It's new to me.
Did you also change the language? Because we did change the language.
We are trying to change the language.
Like gendering, like we now have, because you also have like the female and the male, right? Now in German you have like, for example, you just in Korean say 친구, friend. But you have like, in German translation you would be like 여자친구, 남자친구 as platonic friends. But now they made it, at least for like newspaper, and also they try to get it through school, is now you say 남자친구들, 여자친구들. So female, like the female version of friend and plural, and the male version friend plural. So you include everybody. It sounds in Korean it sounds even not nice, but in German also like Freundin and Freundinnen. And it's sometimes very hard even for me as a native speaker to gender correctly.
I think in Korea they've done things like that with 여학생 and 여교수. They've taken away that it used to specify that this is a female professor or a female student. I think they've removed that prefix of 여 to neutralize things, like how we used to say policeman, but now we say police officer. They're doing those same corrections actually in the Korean, as far as I understand it, the Korean language.
With the word 유모차 too. Sorry to interrupt you. It means like babysitting cart.
유모차. Buggy, pram.
유모차 means that the cart that mom carries for a baby. But nowadays, fathers can babysit as well, and the man and women also can like do it like co-work in babysitting. So they are changing it 유아차, which means like baby car.
They should change it to 유강차.
What does it mean?
강아지. They just put dogs in their pushchairs now. When I see people put dogs in their like pushchairs here, you see it a lot. I'm like, I love dogs, by the way, but I'm like, it's a dog. Right? It's not going to grow up and look like it's a dog.
Honestly, like 50% of the people who I see dogs there.
Yeah.
Like, I just automatically just assume it's a dog.
Especially in places like
Same.
Starfield Mall, there's specific like shopping places
Yeah.
where they're dog friendly. They can let you go in. Hongmin, like I'm sorry to put you on a spotlight here. What's it? I want to ask you, what was the military service like? And I said before we started, by the way, thank you for your
In
service.
terms of my sexuality,
Well, in general, but yeah, that.
I try to fit in a lot because I know that I can be very conspicuous among the crowd. I try to do my job. I try to I try my best to be a part of it. But there was this incident where I used to keep a little journal. I was going through it was a 3-year relationship with this guy, and I broke up like a few months ago. And at the time it was going very rough, so I tried to keep a journal to collect my thoughts and how to deal with the situation. I took the note to my work and I slipped it in the bus.
Oh.
And later that day, there was a call from the leader of my squad, and he was looking for me, and he told me that there's like a family emergency that I need to come right away. I really thought it was a family emergency. I was thinking of my grandma. I was so worried. And when I got there, he was like on the chair, like a boss, like mafia. And he had like a coffee can here, and he was like, "But why do you think you're here?" And I thought, did I mess it up something, or like at work, or did I do something like really bad? And then he showed me the note, and he told me that he read all of it to see who the owner was.
He wanted the gossip.
Yeah. I don't think it was to find the owner, but I think he was just genuinely curious. But anyways.
What was the? It's one of the first things I was thinking of. It's so interesting to know that like gay people go through the same problem with military service, like and breaking up, because we have all of these stereotypes and these dramas about like wearing rubber shoes. Are you going to wait for your boyfriend and things like this? And we have all these cute stories and things that we share, but the same thing is happening to you. It's the same. Yeah.
I don't think it, honestly, if I just not say the gender of what I've been through in the relationship, I think I can just converse it with my friends like just normally.
Yeah.
There is not much difference, except for the promiscuity maybe, but yeah, I don't think there is much difference in terms of that.
I think so too.
But they handled it quite well. We were more scared of the found book.
Yeah.
When he texted me, my heart got stuck.
Yeah, I was like
Yeah.
holding
I
the
was
chair
like-
listening to this. I'm like, oh my god!
Sorry. Because I asked him what was the worst scenario. You told me the worst scenario could be that you have to switch the base, right?
Yeah.
They would think.
If it spreads, of
Yeah.
course. The leader told me that this was a very big mistake I made, because if this gets shared if he didn't find it, other soldiers would find it. And other soldiers who know me would know that it's me, and they would gossip about it. And then it would be all over the squad. And then it would be a really huge problem for him.
That's so interesting because
It's not your fault, by the way.
no, that's what I'm thinking. Where I'm just like, it's not your fault, and it doesn't have to be a big deal. And I thought that's just very sad. Like I kind of got emotional while you were saying that. And I'm thinking like, part of me is like, it shouldn't be that way. And I know we've learned a lot about like why it is how it is and what stage of like acceptance and why people are like that here. But a part of me just wishes that like Korea, like the society was a lot more accepting of gay people because we're here.
I think you're incredibly brave to tell that story. Like Thomas says, and Leah says it's not your fault, and it's very sad. And then I have some incredible respect for you for saying that. What do we do to make the world better? That's ridiculous. I don't mean that in that sense, but I mean what like proactive steps? Because there are things, and I think you are one of the steps, Hongmin, in what you are doing in speaking like this. I think you are contributing to pushing the needle towards the better, and that's sometimes all we can do. Instead of go like everybody love each other, which is a nice platitude, but what do we do?
Exposure. I think that's something I was thinking actually with him because when he asked me to join, he told me the topic. I was like, well, he's coming from Suwon to meet me. I'm like, this fits so well. I think that's exactly like that's a sign. But I was not sure if he's feeling comfortable enough because he is gonna leave Korea tomorrow already.
Yeah.
I will leave eventually next year, and he's gonna stay for like not forever. You don't know what the future holds, but he probably is gonna stay here a longer time. So I was like, should I ask him to speak on it? And then he was very down. He was pretty much down for it. But I was like, I think we need to meet the people. Like we need to be open. It's a bit difficult though, but I think when we stand up and like we expose, like we give them some exposure to us, it will help. Like for example, I see with me being black here, people are not as scared as people portraying it online. But I can tell that, for example, like the lady from CU, the first time she saw me, she was flat. Like it's like she froze for a second. And every time she sees me right now, I try to adapt to her while being myself. So for example, like when I enter the store, I'm like, oh, annyeonghaseyo. And then I keep talking loud English. I'm like, oh, Hongmin, did you see this? I want this. But then when I go to the cashier, I'm giving it with two hands. And then I'm like, oh, 감사합니다. 안녕히 계세요. Like this. Like try to get closer to them. Not change yourself completely, but make them feel comfortable around you, that eventually they will open up. You can still be yourself. For example, like skinship, right? Some people don't like when I touch them. So I'm like, I can still like close to you without touching him, and eventually you will be more comfortable with touching. And I think this is a way to actually make people,
with respect.
like both like going closer to each other while still remaining yourself.
It's interesting because growing up in Mexico, it is a very conservative place. Like almost 80+% of the population is Catholic. But then going to the States, like especially California, like it's a lot more accepting, it's a lot more liberal. But I think you being here, talking, existing, is probably the bravest. It's the bravest thing that I've ever encountered, and it's probably more important than anything that I've ever done in my life. Because I live in the U.S., like I live in California, I live in Mexico, which has become a lot more than I've seen here. So that's you existing is very important.
Yeah. And you're talking to strangers right now. You know me only. You don't know them, and you still told them.
I'm introvert.
Thomas, you say an important thing that like sometimes we're living, we've noticed, but sometimes we're living on easy mode or something like that, or various levels of difficulty. And Hongmin is doing this on extreme difficulty mode.
It's like what you said in one of our classes, where it's like it takes people to come out and to be themselves in a society that isn't ready for them. That is extremely, extremely hard. That's why when people do it and are willing to do it, it has to be recognized and it has to be celebrated.
Thank you. That's what I told him all the time. I tell him this all the time. I'm like, it's okay, because he sometimes be like, yeah, I was too dramatic when he eventually came out to me, because we also had a hard time when he found out himself. But honestly, I was like, especially with concerning the society he's living in, it's such a big step. It's such a big step to first, no matter where you live, to just recognize it for yourself. And then on top of that, living in a society. I'm not saying that Korea is not safe for gay people, but more in the sense that it's not as represented.
Normalized.
Yeah, exactly. So although you are more or less safe, I would say you're pretty safe in comparison to other countries, it's still hard to like accept it and then suddenly be like, when people be like, oh, is that your girlfriend? And then suddenly, oh no, actually I like guys. And then like the reaction, although they're not going to physically harm you, still like the judging, the mental reaction still could have a toll on you.
This guy friend I have from high school, I told him that I am gay, I like men and stuff, and I told him like 2 times or 3 times I think, and I think he still thought it was like a phase or something. And so I didn't tell him about all of I just exclude that part from our conversation. And I think it's I think the most that it can do help is the media exposure, I think. I'm actually kind of against the pride movement and the parades. I don't know if I can say that, but
It's okay, no
I think it's too early for Korea to accept it. When they're like doing this and doing this, for the majority of people, it looks like they're doing like a riot or something. It's interesting. They don't like seeing that. We have to portray
calm, like adjusting. Right.
We're one of you.
We need to normalize this slowly with media exposure, and young people respond best to media exposure. They are the people who are going to rule. They are going to change this country. I think targeting them is the best strategy here, and I don't really like parades, honestly.
I think three-dimensional representations of groups. We've talked about a lot of that with women, and we've had like Bechdel test analysis, and do we portray women beyond the Cinderella image or the princess? And there's been a huge focus in Korean dramas and media to portray women in a way that's reflective of the complex diversity that exists amongst women. And I think perhaps maybe that's now another challenge for Korean media with members of the LGBT community to portray them in all of their diversity, because I know some pretty conservative gay people. I know some gay people that have been ambassadors, and you know they're smart. There's nothing sassy about them actually, and I also know the sassy ones as well. And so I think that three-dimensional representation will help rather than just, hey, everybody, here's 100,000 gay people all at once and put them back that step. How do you feel about the current representation? Because me and Thomas in class, we watch things like Handmaiden. There's Itaewon class, there's mine, or is the media doing a good job so far?
There is a recent surge of BL dramas and stuff, which can normalize stuff well, and there are some celebrities who are coming out as well. Some I don't like because they portray the stereotype, but others, I think we're in a phase right now, changing phase. Korea is changing very rapidly. I can't even remember how it looked 5 years ago, but because it looks so different. It looks the same in the streets, but how people think and how people, it has been influenced a lot, I think. And with foreigners coming into our country like more and more to fill up the workforce and being integrated with our society, I think we are going through a very, how do you say it? I think it'll be quite difficult for a few years from now, I think.
It's a very turbulent transition period,
Yes.
I think. And it is exactly that. Korea is not settled. I really agree with you, Hongmin, when you say that Korea changes so much. Because there's an idea, and I teach this in my classes, but Korea is very conservative. I'm like, it changes every 10 years. There's these huge, drastic, dramatic transformations. And maybe it's like growing pains almost. It's like going through puberty. And like when you go through that physical transformation, hair's growing, voice is changing, and it's horrible and traumatic. And eventually it settles down. And to personify the country in that way, I think it's going through that process of working out who and what it wants to be and what it can be. Are you confident for the future of Korea? That's a bold question because we don't know. But I mean, do you generally look and say, well, maybe, yeah, or not, or?
Recent future, no, but she told me a lot about how diversity can hurt.
Yeah.
People like splitting sides.
Yeah.
Split sides, take sides, and fight and demonize each other. This is what people do. I think it's their nature. And with more diversity coming into Korea, this will intensify. We have like provincial like prejudices in this small peninsula.
Regionalism.
Yes.
Yeah.
It will be much worse when foreigners are like when the foreign population grows. It'll be much, much worse for a few years from now.
I mean, that happened in Europe. You can see Europe, you can see America, like the protectionism. Like nowadays, people be like, oh yeah, that's our country. While, for example, Germany, what is German? Like you guys, I'm German. And then, you know what I mean? Like I said to him, like, because he said he wants it to be diverse. And I said, I agree, but at the same time, I'm a bit scared that, because Korea is slowly adapting, right? But we are already at this point where diversity is clashing and it leads to populism. So I'm scared that this is going to happen to Korean Peninsula too.
We need to go into it subtly, I think, that people can adapt to its change. Like evolution.
Speed is important. Yunseo, do you have any thoughts on this, like changing Korean society, media representation? Or?
I totally agree with you saying that first, exposure is the key because people should know that there are like diverse people. For example, Korean people didn't really know that your hair is natural, not a perm. They're just not exposed to like people who are different from other. So I think that there should be people like you speaking on the podcast or like in real life. Then Korean people will know more about, oh, there are people that are different from me type of stuff. And to be honest, like Korean people to Korean people are different, but they don't really realize that we're different. For example, I have a double eyelid, but my friend is monolid. That would be the difference. But the people are accepting the gender or like race as a huge thing, not like that. So I think that the difference or diversity should be accepted, very natural thing.
Because we're all different, and in one sense we're all different at this table, and in another sense we're all the same. And it's like, what should we focus on? Should we talk about our differences because they're interesting? And sometimes we're very sensitive about difference, and we're very careful. And I even feel it during this conversation. I get emotional, and should I say that? What did I do? How should I react? Should I smile? Should I nod my head? But at the same time, I want to ask stupid questions and poke and tease and banter, and that's how I grew up.
Respectfully.
Right. But I said to one of my groups, I love that we can laugh with each other. I love that we can get to a stage where I'm not saying we should be abusive or insulting, but I love where we can sort of, we don't have to walk on eggshells through everything. And I think that sometimes makes people fearful of making mistakes.
Yeah, it's funny because in one of the classes, a guy came up to me and he was like, you're the first gay person I've ever met. Really, and it's the first gay person, and I am from China, and I lived for like 8 years in Russia. So I was like, okay, of course you've never maybe interacted with that many gay people. And it came like kind of like humbly asking me like, can I ask you questions that you would never ask in the U.S. There's like, how do you know that you're gay? And if you saw a girl here, like, would you feel anything? And I was like, damn, a year ago I think I would have been insulted, but now I take this like, oh, this is really interesting. And then the next couple of days I kept seeing him. He kept saying hi to me. I was like, hi. He was kind of like excited, like hi, like, oh my god, I finally know a gay person.
It gives the role of a teacher.
Yeah.
I have the two, like, as I said, my Korean friend who gave me a compliment for becoming lighter. Like, my Chinese friend, because my Chinese friend grew up among a lot of black people, so we always make like a joke about her being like blackified, like she belongs to us, and it's a joke. But she keeps, for example, like asking, not too offensive, but because I can be very overwhelming as a person first when I met you, and then she kept asking like our Korean friend, because our Korean friend lives abroad. She lives abroad in 2 countries, and then so she was like, oh yeah, you're my first black friend. And also just another friend from ours from China. He doesn't speak a single word of English, so our communication is very funny, just my poor Mandarin and Dutch. But even after we met, he said he lived in the Netherlands for 5 years. He never had a foreign friend, but he considers me as a friend, although I cannot communicate with him. And on top of me being black, it's also like I'm the black foreign friend he cannot communicate, but we still have also like that bond. And I teach them also about like, my hair, or like, oh, you shouldn't say this, for example, like, like, oh, you get like, I say, if you say that to a black person, it can come very offensive sometimes. So you gotta, but yeah.
How many languages do you speak, Aaliyah?
Me? Okay, actually, I always say 5. But I got humbled by the French people in this country. They were humbling me so badly. No, but I speak 5 languages. Wow. I speak German, English. I'm learning Korean. Like I think my Korean is pretty okay, but I'm getting shy to speak. So I was like, I learned Japanese in school, and then French I learned in school too. But my French is I understand more than I speak.
That's amazing. At 19.
Thank you.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Incredible, actually.
Yeah, it's really good. The Romanian girls in our class, they came up to me after I gave the speech at graduation today, and they said, David, Professor, we really like that German expression. Your German pronunciation wasn't good, but we like it.
I was crying in the back. I was just like the whole row was making a sound. But I understood because you asked me before. Yeah. But it's such an old expression that when you asked me yesterday in class, I actually had to think about it. Although I heard it a lot.
Old, I think it's like from the 1990s. I know that's old for you, but I think it's
an
expression. Yeah. The 1990s is old.
I was like, I'm from 99.
Century behind,
Yeah, the late 1900s. Yeah, that's how people describe it. Like, yeah. It's how I see like the late 1800s or something like that. It's how young people see it, like the late 1900s and stuff. We could keep going, but I'm also conscious that for some of you, this is like it's your birthday and it's Friday night, and you guys have got to get out in there. So
for last night.
Yeah. Can you do any like? Can you ask that question about the letter?
Oh,
Just
sure.
2 more things, and we'll wrap it up. The letter question I really like.
Yeah, if you could write a letter to your past yourself before coming to Korea, what would your first sentence and last sentence would be?
Okay, wait.
Yeah.
If I could now write into my past.
Yeah.
So 4 weeks ago, past.
Yeah.
Not like when you're 15, but.
On a start, I think the first be like, are you dumb? Because like before I came here, I was making myself so anxious. I kept watching YouTube videos, TikTok, Instagram reels about what can be the worst scenarios being black in Korea. I kept watching 20 minutes long videos about former English teacher ranting about what happened to them, or I kept doing like how can I not be like visible? I made myself so anxious. I was like, I didn't want to, for example, like be loud in the subway or press the button at the traffic light. I don't do this, but like I didn't want to do it. I was like, how can I be as much invisible as possible? Because I'm already visible by existence. So what can I do? So that's why I dumb, because like, why did you do that to yourself? You know? But my last sentence will be like, don't be anxious and keep trying. Because that's something I told him yesterday. I was like, now I start to become more weird and louder here, although it's bad for the nunchi. Is that people are looking at me anyways. I sit in the subway, 3 people look at me. I walk out. You should have been there when we were waiting. He opened the door and then this, like, Ajush from the garage be like, yeah, he stopped. And I was just like, and he was like, he stopped. So it's like, no matter what I do, they will look, but you will get used to it because it's not like a bad look. It's not like the side eye. It's just like, you look different. Yeah.
You can't control how people will treat you, but you can control how you will react.
Yeah.
And I saw that look and then how you reacted. It was nice.
It was so funny.
Thomas, your first and last.
My first would probably be, hey, real quick, bring walking shoes. Bring running shoes because my Vans are destroyed. They have tons of holes in them from walking upstairs every day. But I think I would tell myself that it won't be as bad. I was worried about the homophobia and the racism, or even me having tattoos. I was like, oh, what are they going to say? Are they going to think I'm in a gang or stuff like that? And I never experienced that. Maybe that's just my experience, and of course I've only been here for 4 weeks and haven't really interacted with that many Korean people. But they will be very welcoming and excited to meet someone so different.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Are you able to count how many tattoos you have? You're covered in them.
Yeah, I have 52.
52?
Yeah.
Is that one for every week of the year? Is it intentional?
Yes, totally. No, they're just very cheap in Mexico. So
I guess I'm going to Mexico.
if anyone wants tattoos, go to Mexico. They're very, very cheap.
Eyelids, go to Korea. Tattoos, go to Mexico. And tea bags, go to England.
There you go.
Here comes the casual racism. The last thing, give us a book, a movie, a drama, or a song. Give us something that we should check out. It doesn't have to be related to Korea. It can be whatever you want.
I think for me, one of my favorite movies of all time is Past Lives. I mean, it came out just recently, but that was one of the first times I learned about Inyan and what it means for people here. And it's just such a beautiful movie, and it's very sad but very romantic in a way. So that would be my recommendation, or all of like the BL dramas that I dropped, like Semantic Errors.
Those 3 earlier were all BL dramas?
Yeah, they were all BLs. They're really good. And I mean, they're the only ones I've seen, but...
Can you very quickly tell me something about a BL drama? Like, how does it... Can you summarize it? Give me the TLDR. What
happens? They meet... there's very little flirtation. There's always a conflict between the 2 guys, and then they realize that they like each other. And at the end, they'll hold hands. They'll look at each other with very loving eyes, and they will not kiss or have sex, but they will hold hands. And not to like spoil, but one of them ends with, I thought that they were gonna go into the bedroom and then have very passionate love. They put their robes on and sat, and one put their head like leaned on each other, and that's how it ended. And I'm like, did I just watch 12 episodes to see that they just got close to each other? And that's it. But I feel that's kind of like what happens in the ones that I've seen, at least. Very similar.
I like that you've learned the word Inyan.
Yeah.
That's very cool. You seem like how old are you? This is really weird.
I am 22.
20.
Wow.
Incredible. Like, how mature you seem, how brave you seem. Yeah, well, like...
I didn't really thought much about what I am portraying here as. I just thought she's doing it, so that sounds nice. Tag along.
And I think it was pivotal for this conversation to have you here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
So too.
I say the same things to Yunseo, and I'll probably say the same things to Aaliyah and Thomas, by the way. Like, normally after conversation, I say, Yunseo, you did amazing today. I'm very proud of you. Because it's hard to do this in front of, like, no matter who you are, I think. Yeah. Aaliyah?
So first, I was about to say All the Weeknd, because I love The Weeknd, the singer. I even have him tatted. I love him that much. But I want to think something more personal. Like, usually... I listen to like summary songs, and since it's very hot in Korea, I'm currently listening to Oroma Baby from Rama. It's like an Afrobeat song, and it's kind of like this. I think how I would describe my experience here in Korea. just simply because when I walk down the hill and I walk up the hill to Hanyang, this is usually the song I'm listening to, because since I'm in Korea, my phone screen time has reduced from like 8 to only 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Workout routine.
Everyone's leaving with big calves, I think, when you come to
Yeah.
Korea. The calf muscles are there.
And 20 pounds less.
You're losing a lot of weight.
Yeah, he's so shocked. He's like, yeah, you got so skinny in these 4 weeks because I keep walking to school.
So
Like,
only for like 1 month.
yeah, he's like, you got so skinny. I'm like, oh.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And relax. That's it. We're done. Good. Awesome.
How did you like it?
It was fun actually.
Yeah.
See? And you were thinking you don't contribute anything.
Yeah. It was so important to have you here. I feel I couldn't imagine this conversation going where it was going without you, honestly.
Did you feel anything like me? Because you don't know him. You didn't know. I don't know if you knew about him.
Okay. Hi.
We
Not
are all
until she even walked
strangers.
in, I didn't. So busy today.
Oh no, because it was sudden that he came, and I was like, oh, if it what you didn't know, like, was it surprising?
Oh
for you?
yeah, but he said that like there will be 5 people, right? So I was like, was it? But okay, so I just went with it.
But when he was like explaining his identity, because I don't know if he told you what he's gonna talk about, because I told him before. Because you just like Thomas and then me as like the representative, but then we have like a local, like the imposter.
This is very nice.
Yeah.
This is John.
What is it?
It's a
a hot dog.
They've gone a bit hard since they've been here. I've only opened them for like 2 hours, but they've gone a bit hard. It's honey.
syrup
It's
inside
bread and honey.
Oh, I thought you said hot dog.
It's hot dog. It's called hot dog.
Hot dog. Like ho.
Did you realize like that the corn dogs?
Your stories are amazing.
You should have like a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
You're really good at telling stories.
I like telling stories, but sometimes I have to think because the way I talk, I think I'm lying. So I'm like, imagine me having like a whole podcast. I need to talk with Facebook. So it doesn't work. Like
It's like amazing memory about what happened. Like you remember everything.
I notice a lot of things and I remember a lot of things. So when I come off, I'm like, you don't know what happened.
I'm gonna make some great reels from your content on this.